order to effectively accomplish your goals. Time management can cause stress issues. Sometimes you might feel that you have X number of things to do. You only have Y amount of time to do it in. And the time that it will take to complete that X amount of things is a lot more than you have in Y. The problem with that is it can overwhelm you. It can make you stressful. And in some cases, you can even shut down. Thinking about this will undoubtedly increase your stress levels. You can overload yourself with commitments. That causes stress. If you have so many things on your plate, you can stress yourself, and your life, your experience can become more painful than it is enjoyable. One of the problems with, or one of the issues that can cause stress are procrastination. I can do it later. Some people make the claim, I work better under pressure. You may feel like you do, but the outcome is not as positive as it would be if you took more time to do it. Another time management issue that can cause stress is poor self-control. Do you have the self-control to work on a project until it's complete, or do you need to take breaks? You have to recognize that within yourself and figure out how you need to go about finishing a project. And finally, how can you reduce stress with proper time management? Plan your day. Sit down at the beginning of the day or at the end of the previous day and plan out what you need to do. What are the things that you need to complete to alleviate stress, to use your time wisely? Schedule time for distractions. Are people going to call you on the phone? Are you going to have to respond to a number of emails? Plan time for that. If you don't, those small tasks will inevitably build up and put you behind. Remember that it is impossible to get everything done at once. A lot of people think that they are great multitaskers. It's extremely difficult to multitask well and complete 2 projects well at the same time, much less 3 or 4 projects. It can't be done. Put your time into one project at a time. You can't do it all at once. Work on small portions that build into a whole. If you work on one section of a project, and then the next section, and then the next section, it's a lot less daunting of a task than I have an entire presentation to build. Train yourself to work ahead. If you finish the work that you had planned for that one day, move on to the next day. Move on to the next project. Don't accept the fact that you finished that work for that day and now you can just sit there and relax. And finally, track your progress. Know what you finished. That will help alleviate stress so much. If you know what you finished, know what you've gotten done, that is it lessens the pressure in your mind. I've done this. I've finished this. I can cross this off the list.
All right, what are some things that might take up your time that might cause problems with your time management getting tasks done?
My biggest one is my kids.
Yep. Thank you, Jason.
My kids. I don't have all work.
Ryan?
Most of my time is probably classwork and my involvement on campus.
Okay. Yep. Mindy?
I do school over.
Yep. That's the primary focus. The kids in high school, sports might take up time and things like that. Friends, hanging out with friends. Your family has things to do. How would you prioritize with balancing all of these tasks? You might ask yourself, what's the most important? big thing with motivation, what your primary motivation is, so that you, if you want to succeed, what do you have to do this? Would you rather finish the small task first or the large task first and just knock it all out at the same time, or split up the large task if you have the time? You got to cut down on wasted time. You have to, whether it's hanging out with you have to hang out with your friends once in a while, but you can't always, you can't just get, you have to balance out your time. Don't wait until the last minute to do something. Get ahead, whether it's just chunking it out little at a time. It'll get you done a lot faster. Some challenges with time management, like staying on task / distractions. Whether you study with a group better or you study alone, you have to find that out on your own, because you listen to music, things like that. If you think you can focus better, you have to test things out yourself. You have to keep organized, have a planner, things like that. Finding the best atmosphere to be productive in, whether it's a computer lab, the library, your room at a desk. Balancing between work and fun with friends, and getting the task done.
Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about prioritizing. So can anybody tell me what prioritizing is? Right, so deciding what's the most important to what's the least important. And I'm going to go over 4 quadrants with you, and these quadrants talk about the difference between importance and urgency, and basing your prioritizing on that. So can anyone tell me what the difference in importance and urgency is?
Urgency is something that needs to be done now.
Right.
So it's time bound,
Okay.
but important things are things that take priority on.
Right, exactly. So in quadrant 1, we have things that are both important and urgent. So things that are really important to you personally or important to your job, but they're also urgent, so they need to get done right away. So what's an example of something that's important and urgent?
Putting on fire.
Exactly. Good example. So in quadrant 2, we have things that are important, but they're not urgent. So what's an example of this? Something that might be important to you, but it's not necessarily urgent.
Going to the grocery shop and order that food.
Right. So going to the store, if you need something, it's not life or death. Okay? In quadrant 3, we have things that are nice to do. So these are urgent, but not important. Think about the time constraint that comes along with urgency.
Can you give an example?
Okay, so, yeah, I'll try to. So something that is based on time, but it's not necessarily personally important to you. So maybe busy work in a class. So you have to have that assignment submitted by the end of the class, but it's not necessarily important to you. However, it's important to get a grade. So it sort of depends on what your definition of important is, maybe. So that's something that would fit in quadrant 3. In quadrant 4, these are activities that are time eaters. So these are not urgent and not important. I'm sure we can think of plenty of these. So what's an example of quadrant 4? Maybe Netflix. So Netflix probably takes a lot of our time, but it's not necessarily urgent and it's not important compared to other things that are on your priority list. Okay, so for our activity, you'll have to excuse us. We apologize. Our group took this assignment, maybe misunderstood it a little bit. We thought that we were supposed to talk about what we had planned for our presentation. So I will talk about our activity. It's still in the developmental stages. What we're going to do for our activity is have a list of, we haven't decided yet if it's going to be a list of something that a high school student would have to complete in a day, or something that's an authentic list of something that someone working in the business field would have to complete in a day. And the students will receive handouts of something that looks like a page of a planner, so something that has the time from maybe 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. And they'll have to go through the list of things to do and prioritize. And after that, we're going to go over and debrief and essentially go over just the idea that no one's going to sit and tell you this is what you have to do first. There's no absolute right or wrong, but it depends on how you prioritize. So that is our activity. This is our resources. Any questions?